So the Gaza Strip, I did make a very small video previously about the relationship between the people living in Gaza, and in Jesus' day you had the Samaritans and the Jews, and he taught about being good neighbours. Obviously that's not happening. It's not just in Gaza between Israel and the Palestinians. This is a problem worldwide, isn't it? Us humans getting on with one another, because the main religions all teach that we should love one another. So first you've got the Christians. They believe Jerusalem is very important because the Messiah was born there. Many of them view the Messiah or Jesus as actually God himself incarnate on earth. So that's the Christians' view. So it's a very important city. And so they take what Jesus' words extremely importantly. And then you've got the Jews or the Israelis who take obviously the historical significance of their country very seriously. They obviously want to have the temple rebuilt. And the establishment of Israel, and of course the Messiah coming for the first time, since they didn't accept him when he came before. So they're expecting the Messiah to free Israel and bring peace to the Israelis. And then of course 700 years later Muhammad came on the scene, and he established of course Islam. And of course, one of the very important mosques is the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem itself. And, and of course, Islam believes that close to the time of the Day of Judgment, when Jerusalem is being threatened with destruction, the prophet Jesus actually comes and protects Jerusalem. So here we have three combined religions, all at kind of loggerheads, really. But they all unitedly think that Jerusalem is very important. And Jesus did himself mention the only problem for Islam is that the Bible, which contains both the Christian scriptures, whether they're accepted by Israelis or not, and you've got the Hebrew scriptures, which are the Torah and the Jewish recognised scriptures, that talks about not being added to. In the Revelation, it talks that the Bible would not be added to. So 700 years later, when Muhammad came on the scene and more writings were made, which makes up the Islamic holy word, that really would conflict with what the Bible has taught in Revelation. So the question you have to ask yourself is any of the writings of Muhammad, are they relevant in any way? They're not if you accept what the Bible says, that in Revelation it was completed. It was the final part of the holy writings, the message from God. And of course the Jewish God, you see, you've got a conflict here. You've got the Jewish God, which the Israelis are very reluctant to use his name because they feel it's too holy. And yet the first two commandments are about his name in the 10 Commandments. So they are reluctant to use his name, which is the four consonants meaning YH, WH, which is Yahweh, and in the English term, of course, it's Jehovah. Then you've got the Christians who are saying, well, Jesus is the same, it's all the same. So they, in a sense, are rejecting the God of the Jews because they're saying it's Jesus and we can worship him. But if the God of the Jews, and Jesus said worship only the God of the Jews, and Jesus at the time was a Jew, then to worship Jesus would be blasphemy. And of course the Islamic religion was established because it was felt that neither the Jews, because they hadn't been worshipping the God and using his name properly, and so we had Allah come about, which has 99 names. The only name that's missing, interestingly, is Yahweh or Jehovah from his 99 names. So that's an interesting aspect. So you have this confrontation or this conflagration of different cultures, different religions, and of course different political states, some massing on one side and some massing on the other side. In Hamas, you've got many of the Arab nations on the side of Hamas, and of course you've got the Western countries on the side of Israel. So here you've got a confrontation between two groups of nations. So that's all very interesting. So this situation, when Jesus talked about a new Jerusalem coming out of heaven, does he mean a new city? There is a video on this subject on here. Does he mean it's a new city? Or is he talking about Jerusalem there, the Jerusalem being heavenly? Because he mentions the new Jerusalem is established in heaven and its power comes to earth. Now, if Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem, is a government, which Jesus identified it as when he said to pray for his kingdom or government to come on earth as in heaven. So New Jerusalem's in heaven, Jesus is the king. If his rulership's to come on earth, then there's not going to be a new city. There's not going to be a new temple on Temple Mount, because it says that God is the temple and it's in heaven. So that clarifies that point. So my point is that all the religious controversy and all the end time versions, it's all kind of, it's mixing, stirring the mud up really. It's confusing. Simply being, Jesus is due to return to save the human race. It's called his second coming and it's imminent. But and this is what it says about him, which will introduce you to Christmas, although is December the 21st, 5th his real birthday. There's all kinds of things. I'm going to conclude here in Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6. It says here, for a child has been born to us, a son has been given to us, and the rulership will rest on his shoulder. And his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. Interesting phrases there. So certainly we'd like to see him be the Prince of Peace and change the world from what it is now. So thank you once again. Take care, everybody. So I won't be making anything else on Gaza and the confrontation there, because this is just political controversy that will continue on Earth until Jesus resumes control of planet Earth. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Don't forget your New Year's resolutions. My wife's got a couple for me, but not going to take much notice, probably. Hope she's not listening.